tell me about your new app that you've been working on, Discipline.
We'll get you moving. Yeah, the Discipline Fit app. This is something, honestly, that I have wanted to do for, 7, 8 years now. And I've attempted to do, I can't even tell you how many times. Multiple companies I've worked with. It started off originally as a website. I invested a lot of money and got, screwed over. And that happened a few times because it's very, like, to be fully transparent with anybody that wants to dive into an app or even websites, which are much simpler, very much less complex than an app altogether.
Sure.
The people developing them, I can say, I think not all the time, not everybody, but across the board, it's a very high likely chance that they will take advantage of it or not be able to complete the process or overpromise and underdeliver. And that becomes very financially not the best, for if you're investing and they don't follow through. So that and a startup and multiple other projects, companies that have wanted to partner with me over the years, and it just like I didn't want to be a cog in the machine. I wanted to truly help people, and I wanted to be able to do it on my own scale and in my own right. And discipline for me, even when I first started the process of this app, I had a different name for it. It was going to be I couldn't find the name. So it's just going to be the Brock O'Hearn Fit app, which there's nothing wrong with that because
standard.
Yeah, I've built a brand over the past 10 years, and people know that I like to work out. And I've studied this.
You're
for
not
years.
fit, bro. What are you talking about?
I'm working on it every day, and it was just one of these things where like I actually ended up, because this is what happens. Over time, everyone gets an injury at some point. I ended up getting an injury earlier at the beginning of the year, at the end of December, beginning of January. I can't remember the exact date, but I tore my meniscus. Well, instead of launching in January or February like I was intending to originally, I had to tend to this injury.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to get surgery because I didn't want to be out for so long in case any projects or I booked anything. And
dude, you were powering through that thing too, man. That was crazy.
Yeah. And it really hurt me because it was a pre-existing injury from before that, I did stem cell and I did all of this different therapy, physical therapy that I worked with a very talented, successful guy in the knee space, knees over toes, Ben. And I thought I was really progressing, and then I found out January, I tore it again, the other one. And it's one of those things that you really got to take care with proper nutrition, which I was doing, but you got to take care with, the strengthening and lengthening of these tendons and ligaments. And there's different micro movements and different movements that you can do all together to strengthen all of those areas that sometimes are skipped if you're just trying to build muscle, right? We tend to focus on the bigger things. And so it helped me reinvent myself in a way that I didn't have to go get surgery. I've been doing physical therapy for a long time. My legs are getting great, and I'm super healthy. I can run, I can jump rope, I can have fun, I can bike, I can do all this stuff. I can squat, which I wasn't able to do at all. I could barely walk at the beginning of the year. But through that whole process, the whole point of me telling this whole story is it started off as a Brock O'Hearn Fit app, and it has now changed to Discipline, because what I found throughout this entire process, more than anything, the foundation, the core of why we do what we do in almost everything is our discipline. That's the difference between us being successful and not at it, right? And when it comes to fitness specifically, what you put in and how disciplined, you can have willpower all day, but eventually it'll crack. There's this great book that I read and I love, because before I was like, I can just will through it. I can power through it. I can do this. I can do this. There's a book called Willpower Doesn't Work. And I love that because it puts in perspective. Well, it's like, it's discipline. It's our habits. It's how we show up, getting up in the morning and immediately doing fasted cardio or immediately making my, healthy meal instead of, eating donuts or pancakes or whatever it may be. That's part of my discipline, sticking to my macronutrient based diet to reach my goals, and then hit my training program correctly, do the cardio I need to do, put in that time, that work, the effort, the energy it takes, because it takes a lot to get in a high level of shape. That's discipline. And so what happened is I found that word, and it wrung me. And then I found every other person that ever speaks highly on a high level is talking about discipline and how important it is. And I was just amazed that this wasn't taken. That somebody else hasn't developed out a massive app in that space already with that name. So I created the company, and I'm excited to just help people. The whole point of me doing this is to help.
So I have some questions.
Shoot.
Speaking of like developers and that whole world, how did you, like, if I'm out there and I want to start an app, how did you find developers, and then what was that process like?
Yeah. So before this, I was a part of a startup that, during COVID, all of our stuff, essentially about 90% of it was gym centric, and all of the gyms had shut down. So it put a major rut in our schedule and our timing and our resources. Everything that we did put in, we had to visit it and kind of change our path. Well, the company ended up, being put on a hiatus because of all of this, because it put us in such a hole. And through that process, we were developing an app. I was working with many different app developers. One of my best friends, Shane, he is an app developer. Because he wanted to make an app, he hired these guys, and they charged him about $30,000 and didn't get him anywhere near or close to where he wanted to be. Basically ripped him off. I've had that happen multiple times, unfortunately, but it's a great learning process. So it's an investment in, that base.
So you kind of have to be careful with developers, right? You say, we want this deliverable over this amount of time for this budget.
Yeah.
You got to be careful on timing and all that, right?
Exactly. And you have to do your due diligence with who you're working with, because, if they have created a product that, that works and emulates what you want to do, then you're in at least decent hands. It comes down to, team management. You're the head of the snake, you're the head of the company. And so you have to be able to communicate properly with people what your vision is, be clear and concise with that as well. Much like comic books, to be honest, much like almost any company, I think.
Communicate like design specs with expectations and
exactly.
yeah.
And so what I found was I had asked, and I'd had meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting with different people in the space, different companies. I'd seen what they had done as well. I had had my go at it for about 6-7 years in different ways, whether that is in the website or app space, and all the things I've been approached by and offered by other big large companies to do the same thing in the same space, but none of them really. They didn't have what I needed, what I wanted, what I knew worked for me, and I know is going to work for other people. I wouldn't have the ability to get that across. So what I did is I went and found the correct team, did my due diligence. It took months and months of research and effort and reaching out and meetings, and finally I found the right team. We've developed something very special. It's coming very, very soon. It's almost finished, but it does everything I needed to do. And that's my whole point, is like, how can I scale this to help on the biggest, way possible? And
what's your plan to bring it to market?
I'm going to start with just organic marketing, with my social media platform, and reach as many people as I can organically there. And
be on the App Store?
It'll be on the App Store. It'll be in all the app stores. Yep. And then I want to do some, I don't know if affiliate marketing would be the correct, but I want to partner with the correct
ambassador program or something,
exactly.
Yeah.
So,
but affiliate too, like they both.
Yeah. It's a mixture of both, because they'll, whoever I partner with will make money as well.
Right.
Or I can just hire out trainers as well directly to create more platforms within, because I can have an unlimited amount of platforms within my or programs. Within my platform, and kind of just keep it growing that way, and then get into paid and paid ads and kind of keep that going. But it's just a matter of like navigating what the user is going to want and what they need and what their needs are. So I created, essentially two programs, multiple different levels in each program, but one is an at-home for any type of person. If you want to get a quick workout, there's some workouts that are 5 minutes, some of them are 35, some of them are a little bit more or less in between, But what it does is I created it to where if you have an injury, a knee injury, a shoulder injury, or whatever, I have modified versions for you. And that goes across the board for your entire body, because these will be full body or hyper focused on different areas. But the split between it's just to get you the best results. Low intensity, or it can be high intensity, but it's not hard on your body.
Right.
So that's going to be good for anybody, because if you are super fit and you want to have an intense workout, but you have a shoulder injury, so that's your limit. Well, you can take the easier shoulder part of the workout, make that part easier for you, but the rest of it can still be intense, right?
So you'll have like a range of workouts that are specific to different body parts and stuff like that.
Yeah, and essentially it's like a HIIT cardio full functional training program from beginner, intermediate to expert or advanced.
Right.
And each one of those has their own modified versions within it. So there's that part. So, if a 80-year-old woman wants to start working out, this is a safe way for her to go do it.
Yeah, sure.
And anything in between, like I do the workouts. So I know that they're great. I've tested everything. And then the other art part is if you want to, essentially bodybuild or sculpt your body, I've created a program for that too. So for men and women.
You literally like anyone that wants to get into working out,
yeah,
there's something for them.
Yeah, and that's more of a gym-centric base plan, but it's the proper formula. It's got the nutrition.
Yeah.
But you can take it. It'll track all your macros. It'll get you in there. It'll get you going. Create a shopping list, a grocery list for you to when you go to the grocery store, and you can get all your food nutrition. If you're not doing a meal plan service, something like that, which hopefully maybe one day I'll be partnering with someone who can add more value to people's lives to help them get the results. But the whole thing is, creating a discipline, and making that promise to yourself because you deserve it, and getting it out to people and seeing what we can do. My whole thing is that I know what fitness and health has done for me and how it's changed my life. It's changed my physical. It's changed my surround, like everything in my reality. It's changed my mental health. I've never found a negative effect from health and fitness. So I know that no matter what your occupation is, what your goals are, whatever it is, it only adds value. It takes work. Yeah. It takes discipline. It takes, constantly checking yourself and making sure you have the right habits. And, we slip up and we make mistakes every now and again, but it's that little reminder, to just be the best version of yourself. So that's why I made it. That was kind of a long spiel, but
that's exciting, man.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to drop a like if you enjoyed the video.
And subscribe and hit the bell for a whole lot more to come.